Hola y un saludo a todos los estudiantes que están tomando la clase de español 342, es decir, el curso de composición avanzada que estoy enseñando este semestre en la universidad. In this brief video in English, we will address a topic, very briefly in this case, that we will address more in depth in our next class session, and that is how to use Spanish, English, English, Spanish bilingual dictionary in order to help you improve your writing and to help you write compositions in Spanish in a more effective way. The main thing to think about before we talk about how to use the dictionary is how do we choose a dictionary that actually works for a class like this one. And the main thing is to think about not necessarily the number of pages, even though it's clear that a dictionary that has, let's say, 900 or 1,000 pages is going to include a lot more information and a lot more entries than a dictionary that has, say, 300, 400 pages. So, that is important. If we have more pages, we will have more information, but that's not the only thing. One thing to think about, for example, to choose a dictionary that would be beneficial for a class like this one, is to look at a common English word that has a lot of different meanings. Words like do, or get, or run, which could be verbs, which could be nouns, and which have lots of different meanings. And if the entry for a word like that in English, you look up the word do or the word get, and the entry is very short, then the dictionary is probably not very comprehensive, and therefore you will not really benefit from having that dictionary and using that dictionary in this kind of class. However, if the entry for a word like that is really long, several columns, even several pages, and it has different sections, and it has examples, and it has, many different possibilities for you to choose from, because a word like run, for example, could have lots of different meanings. We could have also phrasal verbs in English, for example, that may appear in the dictionary. And in that case, you will see that the dictionary is a lot better for a class like this because it's much more comprehensive, and it's going to help you a lot more when it comes to deciding what word to use whenever you need to look up a word in English to be translated into Spanish, or in Spanish to be translated into English, which is also a possibility. Now, I have a dictionary here that I had at home. It's not an amazing dictionary by any means, and it's one that I'm going to use for the purpose of this brief video. It's just a dictionary that I had at home and that I bought in Spain many years ago. And I want to talk very briefly with some examples about how a dictionary can help you improve your writing skills in Spanish and improve the way that you write a composition for the class of 342. And I cannot stress how important it is to have a good dictionary, because you're going to use it not only in this class, but also in many of the other upper division classes in Spanish that you will take throughout your time at the university. And of course, buying a good dictionary is something that is important, because a good dictionary will stay with you possibly the rest of your life. So it's an important choice, and you need to do it. You need to make that choice in as reasonable a way as possible. Now, what can a dictionary help you with? Well, it can help you with many different things. One of the things that the dictionary can help you with is, of course, when you're writing a composition in Spanish, you may need a specific word that you don't know how to say in Spanish. And that can happen often, or maybe not that often, but at some point you're going to run into that problem. There is a concept, there is a word in English that you want to express in Spanish in the composition, and you can't find the word because you don't know the word. So a dictionary will help you with that kind of thing. So let's say, for example, that you need the word for fan in Spanish. And fan, F-A-N, is a word that in English has several different meanings. In fact, it's not only a word that is a noun, but it could also be a verb, for example. So the first thing to think about is what kind of word do you need in English? Because most likely you will need the same kind of word in Spanish. If you need a noun in English, most likely in Spanish you'll need a noun. If you need a verb in English, most likely in Spanish you'll need a verb. If it's an adjective, then the same thing is probably going to be true in Spanish if it's an adverb. So the kind of word is the first thing that you have to think about. And when you look up a word, you should not just look the word up and choose the first word that comes in a list of words. Because if you think about the word fan, for example, in English, it could mean several different things. It could be a sports fan, meaning a person who really likes sports or music or something like that. It could also be a handheld device that you use when it's really hot. But it could also be an electrical fan that you use when it's really hot. A fan could also be a device that you use in agriculture, for example. All of those being nouns, but then you also have the verb to fan oneself, to use a fan to get air when you are hot. So depending on what you're going to use, any of those words are going to be different in Spanish. The word for a handheld fan is not the same word as the word for an electric fan in Spanish. The word for a sports or music fan is not going to be the same as the one for the handheld fan, and so on. So you have to know how to sort through the different options that you're going to get in the dictionary. So you don't know how to say the word fan. So we're going to look for the word fan in the English-Spanish part of the dictionary. And here it is, the word fan is right here. So the first thing that you have to think about is, do I need a noun or do I need a verb? And so there's two different entries here. There's an entry for a noun, and then there's an entry for a verb. So if you need a noun, you will look at the first of those two entries. And then you have several different options within the noun. The first one says in parentheses, and this is very important. Whatever in a dictionary, when you look a word up, is in parentheses. What appears in parentheses, what you're going to have there is a hint to decide what kind of meaning of the word you are going to be looking for. So, for example, the first parenthetical reference here says sports. So obviously, we're talking about a person, we're talking about a sports fan. And the translation here says hincha forofo. Okay, so that is a good word for a sports fan. And then it also says music. And the word that appears afterwards in Spanish is aficionado. Okay, so that is a word that you could use for somebody who is a music fan, for example, according to this dictionary. Not only that, but after the word, you're going to have M or F. It tells you if that Spanish word is masculine or feminine, which is important because sometimes you may know, sometimes you may not know. The dictionary is telling you if a word is masculine or if a word is feminine. Now, it also has other options like fan club. Okay, so fan club is translated into Spanish as club de fans. Okay, not very difficult translation right there, but it gives you that option as well. Okay, then we have a second definition here, and in parentheses we have the word electric. So here we're talking about an electric fan, one that may be hanging from your ceiling, for example. Now the word in Spanish for that is ventilador. Okay, so actually we're talking about an electric fan, not a handheld one. Now let's look at the next one. The next one says handheld. So now we're talking about a handheld fan, and the word for that is not ventilador, but it is abanico. Okay, and after the word ventilador, we have an M. We know it's masculine, el ventilador. After the word abanico, we don't have anything in this case because most words ending in O are masculine. Okay, and that is something that some dictionaries will do. If the word ends in O, then it will not say am because it is taken for granted that it's masculine. If you have a word like, for example, mano, okay, which ends in O and it's actually feminine, then it will have an F so that you know that that is an exception or a different gender. Now, after that, we have the entry for a verb, the verb to fan yourself or to fan somebody. And then it says persona, okay, person. So to fan a person would be abanicar, okay, using an abanico, using a fan to fan somebody, to give air to somebody, okay. And then the next entry says fire, to fan the fire, okay. And the translation into Spanish is atizar, okay. So it's not the same thing to fan a person or to fan the fire. So in Spanish, we're going to have different verbs for that. So very important, and I can't really stress how important this is in Spanish or in any language really, but in Spanish, you need to choose the correct word, not just the first word that appears. And those parenthetical references are hints that will help you in doing that. The dictionary in that way is speaking to you. It's telling you this is what this word means. Choose this one if that's the one you need. Keep looking if you're looking for something different. So you need to be able to read those parenthetical references in order to choose the right word. And most of the times, if you have a good dictionary, you're going to have those parenthetical references, and also you're going to be able to choose fairly easily the right word. Now, something else that can happen when you are writing a composition in Spanish is that you may know a word, but you may not remember if the word is masculine or if the word is feminine. And the dictionary is going to help you in this way as well. And this is very practical because remember that in Spanish we have this idea of agreement. If something is masculine, if some noun is masculine, the adjective is going to be masculine as well. The article is going to be masculine as well. Same thing for feminine. If some noun is feminine, the adjective that you use will be feminine, the article will be feminine, and you have to keep that agreement. So if you have a noun and you don't know if the noun is masculine or feminine because you forgot or because you never knew, the dictionary is going to help you with that as well. In what way? Well, in that case, what you do is you go to the Spanish-English part of the dictionary, not the English-Spanish part of the dictionary. You use the English-Spanish part of the dictionary to look up a word in English whose meaning in Spanish you don't know. But if you have a word that you know in Spanish, but you don't really remember if this word is masculine or feminine, the dictionary can help you. You go to the Spanish-English part of the dictionary and you look up the word. For example, we have a word like reloj. For example, reloj, okay? You know that reloj means watch and it means clock. But you don't remember if it's masculine, el reloj, or if it's feminine, la reloj. You just don't remember at that point, right? So you go to the Spanish-English part of the dictionary under R, and you look for the word reloj. Okay, you look for the word reloj, which, let me see if I can find it. It has to be here, very common word. So here it is. Oh, wow, it even has, as you can see there, it even has a drawing or a few drawings of different watches, clocks, alarm clocks, things like that. And the word reloj, right after reloj, it says NM, nombre masculino. So you know, just by looking at that the word reloj means is a masculine word, el reloj, okay? And then anything that you use to describe that noun, el reloj, is going to be masculine. If you keep looking, you will see that there are different kinds of relojes in Spanish. Reloj de pared, for example, reloj de cocina, reloj de pulsera, etc. That's stuff that the dictionary is also going to tell you about. Now, let's think, for example, that you don't know if the word clase is masculine or feminine. Okay, it ends in E, so it could be masculine, it could be feminine, you're not sure. Now, this is something you should know from the very beginning of your learning Spanish, but, let's say you forgot. And we're looking at that word, the word clase. We look it up again in the Spanish-English part of the dictionary. And here it is, okay? Clase, right? It's right here. And right after the word clase, it says NF, nombre femenino. So we know that the word clase is feminine. La clase. You have different meanings of the word clase, okay? But if you forget if the word clase is masculine or feminine, the dictionary is going to tell you. If you look it up in the Spanish-English side of the dictionary. So those are two very easy, very tangible ways in which the dictionary can help you as you are writing your composition. If you don't know a word in English, look it up in the English-Spanish part of the dictionary, but then read those parenthetical references so that you make sure that you choose the right word that you need. And again, think of the type of word that you would need in English. If it's a verb, you'll probably need a verb in Spanish. If it's a noun, you'll probably need a noun in Spanish. If it's an adjective, you'll probably need an adjective in Spanish. Get familiar also with the different abbreviations that the dictionary uses, because different dictionaries are going to use different abbreviations. In some cases, M could be masculino, F could be femenino, but you could have masc, or you could have fem for the same thing. In some cases, an A could mean adjective. In some cases, it's going to be ADJ. But the dictionary always has a list of the abbreviations somewhere in the dictionary, sometimes at the beginning, sometimes at the end. But it will have a list of those abbreviations so that when you look at an abbreviation, if you're not sure what it means, you can look up and see what it means. Remember not to choose just the first word that comes up when you look up a word in English for the Spanish translation, and always read carefully all those parenthetical references that kind of tell you what meaning of the word. Sometimes words have more than one meaning. Very often this happens. Which is the meaning of the word that you are really looking for? Now, something else that you can do is to look up a word in Spanish that you already know if you have forgotten if the word is masculine or feminine, which is very important. And this is something that many of you have problems with when you are writing a composition, the idea of agreement, masculine, feminine, singular, plural. The dictionary helps you with all of that. Those are two ways. We will discuss more in the class very soon. And also, I would like to encourage you, and I have said this several times throughout the semester already, to not use the dictionary way too much. Try to use the knowledge of Spanish that you have in order to write in Spanish directly, not in English and then translating, but in Spanish directly, what you want to convey in Spanish in the composition, and use the dictionary in order to find words that you absolutely need because you don't know. But don't look up every other word, because otherwise it is very likely that you're going to have problems of meaning and of different kinds. Always try to use the knowledge that you already have. You've taken several classes of Spanish, grammar, vocabulary, stuff like that. Try to use that knowledge and use the dictionary as a helping tool to assist you whenever you need to find a specific word, whenever you're not sure if a word is masculine or feminine, or something along those lines. The dictionary is always going to help you. It's a good friend to you as you write in Spanish, but you need to be able to listen to what the dictionary tells you and to use it as effectively as you can. I hope this is a little bit helpful as you're starting to write the first composition for the class, and as you also later on revise it, and then we move on to the other compositions that you will be writing. Muchas gracias. Se despide el profesor Antón García Fernández. Les agradezco su atención a este video sobre cómo utilizar un diccionario en español, inglés-español o español-inglés para mejorar su escritura en español. Gracias y hasta la próxima.